And there's still some contractors who don't need the financing personally, who think that their customers don't want it because they don't want it. And the key is, it doesn't matter what you want, your customers want it.
It goes back to mindset again. I am a big fan of this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So I personally do not borrow money unless I absolutely have to. I don't borrow money. Absolutely.
What do you guys, how about financing? I mean, we traditionally, our trade has been very good at financing new systems and right. I mean, traditionally the guys that get it right have utilized financing. Financing's been authorized, and maybe you guys can chime in here. And I guess my thought is, it's probably again more important than ever before. But also, I don't think normally people or contractors think of financing when it comes to the $500 enhancement or air purifier either, or some of these things that are the accessories that we're talking about, right? I think there's just a mental channel that financing is only good for, brand new installs. You guys want to comment on that? Go ahead, just chime in here from finance. Give me your shtick.
Well, yeah, with the price of systems these days, financing is critical. I think Bankrate or somebody did a survey, and 57% of all Americans have less than $1,000 in a savings account. How are you going to, your system's dead. How are you going to finance a new system?
Wow.
I mean, you're not going to pay for it without financing it, so financing is becoming more and more critical as the price of systems are increasing. And there's still some contractors who don't need the financing personally, who think that their customers don't want it because they don't want it. And the key is, it doesn't matter what you want, your customers want it. Because they don't have the money in their savings accounts. I mean, come on, let's be real here.
What does the typical contractor do for, we're throwing around a word, financing. What does that, help me get a better picture. What does that really mean? He has a bank that he works with, or he has a finance. What does that look like?
It depends upon where you are in the country. There's some very small towns where the bank finances everything.
Okay.
You will not find that in the city of Atlanta or the city of Columbus. You're going to go to Wells Fargo, Synchrony, Credit for Comfort. I mean, there's a bunch of them out there, Hearth, and they're going to provide the financing packages for you, which you will pay a fee to have the privilege of using their financing package.
Now, wait a minute. That's a job cost. That's just a job cost. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. That gets factored in. Cost of doing business.
But David, how many people do you know, how many contractors do you know who don't include that in job costs?
I know, exactly right. And that's the problem, right?
And that's the problem.
It goes back to mindset again. I am a big fan of this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So I personally do not borrow money unless I absolutely have to. I don't borrow money. I'm a debt-free kind of guy. Live in a paid-for house, drive paid-for cars. I live like nobody else lives. It's okay.
No, I do the same thing.
Yeah, I know. But I know you do. We're smart about that.
It's a blue shirt thing.
It's the blue shirt and Georgia thing, man.
It's a Georgia thing.
That good Tennessee knowledge is coming downhill to us. It's good. But anyway, what I was going to say is, if I ran the company that way, if I assumed that all my customers had the ability to pay cash for a $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 job, or even a $999 job, I would be out of business in a week.
Correct.
Right. And this is crazy because it's so much easier today than it was when I was doing this. But we used to use a little company called Household Finance Company.
Oh my gosh, I haven't heard that name in ages.
Yep. I know, right? I mean, they've been gone for a long time. They've been consumed by somebody, right? But we used to use HFC as our primary financing company back in the day. We had press hard 3 copies kind of paper that had to be filled out, and we had to hand carry it over to the local HFC branch to get it processed. So it was a work to finance stuff. Today, you can finance on your freaking phone, right? And to your question, Rob, talking about the $500 products, people like Synchrony, people like Wells Fargo, there's actually a revolving credit application that you're really getting into, and you can add on to those programs anytime the customer wants to add something on. They can say, put it on my Synchrony account, and they automatically kick it up.
Wow.
And there are tons of cool platforms out there right now. There's a couple of different ones where you do a soft credit pull for this customer, and they drop through a primary lender. If their credit doesn't look good to the primary lender, it'll drop down to the next person. If they don't like it, they'll drop it down to Guido, who will do it for, he'll take your left leg and your first 3 children. But the reality is people earn the ability to get money, don't they? I mean, that's called your credit rating, right? So if you have a good credit rating, you're going to get the primary financing, you're going to get the best discounts, you're going to get all those kind of things. That's perfect. But if you don't, well, guess what? That's on you. That's not on me as a contract. Yeah, that's not my fault.
Is it fair to say that it's actually financing is kind of more important than ever right now? I mean, given the last 2 years price increases.
Yes, absolutely. It's always been critical. In fact, I mean, 1998, the last full year we owned the business here before Dad sold it. In 1998, about 80% of our jobs were financed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because we were selling jobs that were averaging $7,600 4 years ago now?
Yeah, a long time
24
ago.
years ago. And I know guys today that aren't averaging $7,600 today.
You had a dark mustache then. Your mustache was dark, wasn't it?
I got pictures of that. It wasn't real. That's been there since I was 16, dude. I haven't shaved this thing off yet.
I have no doubt.
It is interesting because I did a little research one day too, and preparing for a contractor training session once about financing, and I pulled up on my phone, like you said, David. There's PayPal, American Express, and there's same as cash deals on there, right? I mean, there's pay no money down, 6 months. There's deals that you can find on your phone in 5 minutes and get approved in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Here's a crazy thing. So this last January, a football team that I happen to follow was on its way to Indianapolis to play a football game. And I decided I'm going to look and see how much tickets are. They offered monthly payments for tickets.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It's right. You could say, yeah, you want to go? $47 a month. You can go. I'm like, wow. Now, fortunately, I didn't have to do that, but I wanted to see what they were going for because I had a friend who was getting ready to shoot me a couple of tickets so we could go watch the Dogs beat Alabama for the national championship. And so, I mean, people are financing all kinds of things these days.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it doesn't even make sense to not have that tool in your arsenal. And you got to have a good source, and you got to have good credit. And Ruth said, in small towns, it's, the bank does it, and those are good options, but the banks aren't usually as efficient as these people that have the nice little apps that you can just go blip. I mean, it's a required tool as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The reason that the small towns do well is because people like doing business in those small towns.
Yeah.
So it's, if they had an opportunity to use Synchrony or the bank down the street in Little Podunk, Mississippi, excuse me for those of you who are listening and watching from Mississippi, but the reality is they're going to go to their local bank because that's where the trust is. They don't trust Synchrony.
That's right.